Before we do the practice, I would like to introduce a special teacher, came from Tibet, and Gyan Subtitles. And he's an amazing teacher because he spent more than quarter centuries in the Chinese prisons, 35 years. And we are always complaining about our life. Somebody says something, somebody does something, I don't get these things, I got this. We have no complaints. He's an incredible teacher, no? And you think about it, because that shows how the Buddha Dharma Sangha really helps. Now, if you stay in this situation for many years, you will be traumatized, you will be mentally damaged, physically damaged, all these things. Only you have a survival skill is Buddha Dharma Sangha. And they come out, now they're ready to be the teachers. Now, he's an incredible teacher. And he's 85 years old. Therefore, very important to see these things, because then that way, when we generate some kind of feelings in our mind, think about these masters. They have no complaint. My problems is nothing. No. That's what in the history, the life stories of the master, the sets. If you're having difficulty, read the life stories of masters. Then it will ease your sufferings and free you from sufferings. That's why, no? Because otherwise the mind is never trained. We grasping and all these things generate more sufferings and problems. Therefore, we are very honored and happy to have him here. It is the blessings for us, just it is able to come today, enjoying the Holiness birthday, and also it is a prayer for world peace. And today we're going to do the Hat Sutra, and yesterday we did also a Hat Sutra and different things. Therefore, when you do the Hat Sutra and these line face dakinis, the umbrella prayers, you think about dispelling all the obstacles from remove the obstacle from all sentient beings. And here in the text, and the first one is prostrate to the Prajna Paramita. It is Tibetan say, small samjurmet. Means something is very, that when you look at your essence of the minds, and this is the embodiment of the three kayas. The form of the mind is thought. If you look at the thought or the mind, whatever you describe, emotional or the minds or the soul, whatever you describe, you look at it, that form is unobstructed. And that's what things are. Then when you look at that, not obstructed very clearly, one-pointed concentration, it is clear. The nature is clear. And then when you look at deeply in that state, with the one-pointed concentration meditation, with mindfulness and alertness, then you see essence is empty. And therefore, this is talking about the Prajna Paramita, the great mothers of all the Buddhas. Because this is called a great mothers of all the Buddhas. Because every enlightened being, the Buddhas in the Bodhisattvas, he came from the Theravada traditional or the Mahayana traditional or Gadavina traditional, doesn't matter. They all achieved through this practice of meditation. And that's what the Buddha, when the Buddha achieved liberation, achievement of the enlightenment, after the achievement of enlightenment, he comes and talks about this Prajna Paramita, the emptiness. But nobody understood. Even some of his students said, what he's talking about? We don't understand. Therefore, Buddha says, I found exactly like a life-restoring ambrosia that directly can clear and free sentient beings from the sufferings. I found the teachings were just like a life-restoring nectar. But if I speak, nobody understood. That's what Buddha says, I'm not going to speak. I'm going to meditate for all sentient beings for benefit. It doesn't make sense to me to give something that nobody understood. That's what we talk about the teachings, the secret. It is nothing is secret, just something is secret that you don't share. But the problem is we don't understand. If you don't qualify, you don't study. If you don't study step by steps, I never understand. Therefore, that's why every teachings lead. Studying of the Panya Pradika less. Now, if you do the theory, the teachings of the Dzogchen, of the Madhyamika, and the Mahamudra with the less, if you meditate that, you are done. Because there's accumulation of merit and accumulation of wisdom. If you don't have accumulation of merit, you have no understanding of accumulation of wisdom. That's what Buddha is talking about. These sentient beings need to accumulate merit because they didn't understand the teachings, what exactly was revealed then. And therefore the Buddha meditated in the forest. The Indra and Brahma came and offered the conchs and the golden wheels, say, please turn the wheel of the Dharma for the benefit of sentient beings. And then Buddha started speaking. Buddha started to talk about Four Noble Truths, the first teachings for introduction to Four Noble Truths. The first teaching, the sentient being, the five disciples, he gave in Varanasi's introduction to sufferings. Now, then from there, they achieved liberation. Therefore, when this is a very difficult subject to be understand, but with very important teachings, very powerful teachings. We all have to pay attention because when you practice in the emptiness of the Mahamudra and Dzogchen and the Madhyamika, that you have to pay attention, full attention to the body, mind, and speech. Therefore, he says, Samasam Jyotin, there's nothing can describe. You cannot describe, you can say the sky, but you cannot describe the sky. Actually, we can say the sky, but if you really investigate what's the sky, there's no entity of the sky. More you go, the more you space. The more you space, the more you go. The more you go, the more you space. You get into the same thing with the zero. Now, no matter which direction, whatever you try, it is the same thing. Therefore, the Vajrayana always talk about. The Vajrayana is, if you do it properly with qualified teachers, can bestow you the blessings of achieving enlightenment one lifetime. Single lifetimes can achieve liberation. Because when you look at the Mahayana, for instance, looking in the Mahayana point of view and the Vajrayana point of view in attachment, when in the Mahayana point of view, you must attachment that you see is uplift from different things, try to clear by debating and focusing on the teachings to understand there's nothing to be grabbed onto it. No, because you are impermanent, these flowers impermanent, all these things, all these different making sense in logically and mind experience, all these things come to conclusion, say there's nothing to be grabbed onto. One of the teachings said, those who are born is already born, those who are not coming is not coming, who is going, who is going, who is nobody going. Now, you put in this kind of research and debate, and then finally you come to the understanding of mental, understanding of mentally, then you meditate on that, then you experience it. In the Vajrayana point of view is looking directly into it. When you see something, if you are looking directly into it, that is essence is empty. The form is unrestricted, the nature is clear, essence is empty. You're just looking into the mind, you're looking same into the object and subject, and you find nothing. No. Therefore, this description is necessary. Then, small means you cannot really describe. You can describe the sure. It's white, it's pink, it's that, it's those, but you cannot give them taste. You pretend it's going to be sweet. Think about somebody never had sugar. You will have sugar close to that. It's very delicious, blah, blah, blah. It is not this, it is. But then, when they really taste it, it's very sweet. Because they experience inner. And also it is like summer. There's nothing to think about it. Then you cannot think about when you think about your mind, how are you going to think about your mind? You look at the sun and you get upset and angry and frustrated or something. If you really look at the moment, how you can say, I'm upset, there actually is nothing there. But our feeling is so overwhelming because we cannot go deeper. No, because we are always in the floating in the surface. No, not in the deep. No, it's like we are contact with the sea on the beach, not in the way down in the west. In the beach, there's churning, there's sounds, there's all these things. You go far enough, there's just a blue space. No, and the same thing with the mind. No, when you get to that thing, is we are always describing. It's like a beach, and even sea next to the beach. Same thing with like your mind. You describe your mind as a thought, as eventual tendencies of things. What you hit to your mind, what you experience in your mind. You describe yesterday. You describe maybe some in the future. You describe what that's the things that you never go in deep. If you go meditate concentration in deep, you will come up with the same answer that I wrote here. There's nothing to be think about it. There's nothing to be words. You cannot find the words to describe. And then there's nothing to be talked about. When you find that thing, you find space. When you find space, you find a wisdom. You find a wisdom, you solve the problems. No, that's what I'm talking about, share a part of thing. In order to solve the problem, you need a full wisdom. Cannot look through. No, you cannot look through with upset mind. You cannot look through with desire or hatred or attachment, all these things. You have to have something sharp, pointed concentration of the wisdom to look through this. No. People don't have smart or intelligent. They cannot come with a solution for the things. Therefore, this one needs a very intelligent and public wisdom to look at. And it says, Tibetans say, Paro, we cannot just sit in that beach that every day you're facing every problem. You have to go beyond this. It's like you go take a boat and go far away when you find the business, the quality and all this calmness and clarity and all these things in the sea. Similarity, you go beyond means you clear the conceptual what you receiving from it. We are our body is like big scanner, sensor. No? It's like the car has a sensor. When you get close to the object, a beep. No? And now even these days have a camera, you can reflect. And the same thing that we have a camera, 2 cameras. We can scan everything. And we have a sensor, we can smell, we can taste, we can feel it. And trillions of messages are processed through the veins, hands, all these things in the head, in your brain. Because the brain is one of the very powerful things. No? Because that's what one of our lucky guy he was researching last night we were talking about, that he said he was discussing with the scientists and said that the fastest moving is the sun ray of light, trillions of in the trouble. But they say, the scientist says, if you can go faster than sun ray, you can know the past and future. No? And then it says, these kind of things, meditation is more than that. Science is just the physical and all these things. The meditation is in the mind. I said, no, and then they talk about, we talk about the wind, the chakras and channels and winds, you know. They talk about, I know the English word, but sometimes my English is like Indian service bus. They show up, but they don't show up. I don't trust that. No, if you're waiting for my words, until 5 o'clock. You intend to say so down
Yeah.
Oxygen. Because they have oxygen, no? They call it oxygen. We call it wind. These are the very amazing things because you have the oxygen going to the brain, you have skin oxygen. For the cells and the things to survive and different things. If you don't cut off the oxygen goes through the blood. If you cut off the blood, oxygen start to dying things. What they really do in the 6 Narada Yoga is work with oxygen. And putting many different oxygen in different chakras and channels. Then you come up with like things, you know, for instance, it's like, I think about a lot of this, because for instance, it's like how, when the scientists talk about this, how the meditator can do when cold, they practice tummo. But they also use the oxygen to keep the body heat from escaping. Now at the same time, they also keep some kind of layer of protection that outside elements, cold, cannot penetrate in. And not only that, they powerfully they impact on the outside something different. On the practitioner, they can melt the snow, they can all these things. Therefore, the meditation is really fascinating. It's an amazing thing, And as talking about the scientist, also some teachers say you don't need a scientist because Buddha's teachings is great. But we don't need a scientist, but the scientists and the Buddha's teachings come together in marvelous. Because Buddha talked about 2,500 years ago, no machine, nothing, he is only through the wisdom. And everything now they find is same thing, And not only that, this is a very amazing thing, And therefore, when you, in order to go behind your thought and expression and the feelings, you need the wisdom. In order to learn the wisdom, you need the methods. Method and the wisdom. Where the wisdom comes from? From accumulating good deeds. That's what the Buddha first talk about the discipline, priority. No, this is the suffering, this is the cause of suffering. No, priority, the urgent things instead of emptiness. Emptiness is so powerful, but urgent things you need to do is do positive things, not to get involved with negatives, because it will immediately change your behavior. It immediately give you blessings, immediately give you happiness. And then these will change and you get the full-back wisdom. And full-back wisdom look through this Prajna Paramita, the infinite space, the infinite nature, then you will realize. You know? And then you realize, then you will say, Maskes, but these infinite space has been there. Everything has this nature. You have this nature, everything here. Where is the manifest? Manifest from that. Where it goes back to these things. Same thing with the thing. When you talk about table, when you a relative level of practicing emptiness of the Mahamudra, first debate about the table. Where does the table come from? What is, you take the legs out, you take the top out, you take the color out. Where is your table? Keep taking that person to make something and maybe not exist. They're making sense of words, that feelings. I make you to look further, make you to look deeper level. And that's what the important thing is, Maskesva. We are like, also know that we are like Maskesva. Because it's like, we said, birth or just sickness, death, but the mind never die. That's why Vivekananda said to one of his disciples, he says, your body is like a house. This old house is one day going to fall down. By day and night, years and months and days. It's like a rainfall. Days are like a rainfall. Months are like accumulated water. The years are like a washing out. And your consciousness or your soul, that infinite space, never be born, never going to die, and is like mirror of the space. Is temporary making nests. It's like a bird making the nest in the house. And he says the mind of the bird, the consciousness of the bird is going to flow away. And are you ready for that? Your house, all house is going to fall. That's how I tell the people to say, you have to lease your body from the karmic law. They give you the debt, okay, I have a lease in 100 years, 99 years, 99 years, 5 months, 3 days, after that you return. If you don't return, I force you to return. No, we all have this lease. But we thinking is we own everything. We also, not only that, we didn't understand this program teachings that everywhere. Teachings is everywhere. Teachings is not only written in the text. Because we need the written in the text, because we are never stop looking in. I was looking out to find happiness. No matter how much you look outside, maybe you will temporarily bestow the blessings. It's like going to movies. 1 hour, 2 hours, you are happy, but the movie is going to end. Title coming out. Who written what, where, shoot it, whatever. It's like the same thing with the karma. What karma you accumulate in past life, what caused you to born as a human being, and how long you have these things, whatever it is, all these things are like a title. No? And therefore very important to look at meditators should look at in the infinite space instead of looking in just the temporary illusions or things. Because these are very important for us as a practitioner. Practitioner always look inside. Because one of the Vivekananda said to his disciple said, Master, I want to go because there's opera coming to town. And this is a very fantastic show, you know. And he said to his disciple, he said, I'm not going, I'm an old man. He said, no, please, I insist you to go. It's very nice. He said, let's go together to see this opera. Then Mirarapa says, if you look at in, always there's an opera playing in your mind. This is the fantastic show you never experience it. It is the best show that you can ever experience it. And never ends. No matter how long you watch or whatever. And therefore, always inner looking for peace. Because they give you the message. When you go to the nature, something forest that nothing disturbs, that you go there, you feel like very happy there. Because you feel like very happy there, they're free, that nobody touches, nobody makes, nobody. Actually, your mind is giving introduction to you. Say, look, you free your mind. Why are you bounding it? Why are you holding into tight things and this? This is the freedom. No? Introduction, nature. Nature is very profound. Therefore, very important to look. And then, when you accumulate the merits enough, no? Because people are always thinking, especially in the West, we talk about emptiness, people's ears are they don't fall asleep during the emptiness, talking about emptiness. They fall asleep when you do the prostration and the chanting and the prayers, no? Because most important things is came from this. Because you have very good karma. No, really, seriously, you are very smart and you are very intelligent, you qualified for do this practice. No, but yeah, you have to do step by steps. No, because very important things. Therefore, there's a maskespa, magapa. Something is never born. How are you going to describe it's going to fall apart? No, but because we are this take a birth, because as soon as we take a breath, as soon as something big, as soon as something tough, it has an end. Because that's why we are grasping. We are human beings, we are grasping because we know some perspective is not going to last. No. That's why the important thing is to think about this deeply. Then you realize it, release it. Release your attachment, release your aversion, release your anger, or release your whatever. Not necessarily even the anger and aversion we talk about a lot, but also release thought. No? Release just equanimity is very important. No? Then is unborn, neither product nor destroy. No, all these things is without description. It is without description. It's like a milk persons try to describe the taste. First thing is that person cannot speak. And by making gesturing is not expression enough to explain what he or she is feeling it. And that's what we are doing, we are explaining it without experiencing. No? And that's what the important thing is. No? It is like not only the infinite space. If you look at this, find the center of the space. It's very difficult. Center of the space. Find the, not only you find your mind, you find your mind center. If you get angry, you think about it. I'm very emotional. Okay, where is being? If I put a tape measure, how long is my anger? No? And where's the middles? Where's the, when is going to end? There's nothing. Because it is just comes from, is dissolved. where it is a different on you, because it is only experienced by inner primordial mind. No, it is only experienced by inner primordial mind. Is no, when you are not looking in this, then we got a lot of difficulties and problems and things. If you're looking into this, and then you experience the primordial mind, this is nothing given by somebody else, individual awareness. Looking at perfect awareness with perfect awareness, perfect wisdom, the perfect awareness. No? There's perfect and perfect looking together. No? You have this perfect inner primordial nature, and you look into the perfect awareness to that. And this is the only individual experience. Because that's why the Tilopa said to her, I don't have nothing to show. This is yours, you know. Very important, no? That's what the things that are very important is the individual responsibility there, no? Because sometimes people are always thinking, somebody can liberate me. No? There's a certain extent, accumulation of merit, you can do a lot of things. You can hire a monk to do prayer, you can hire a lot of puja, you can make donation, all this accumulation. Wisdom accumulation, you have to get involved in meditation. And you have to look at through your awareness with perfect awareness. And then you actually realize it, then you free yourself from the sufferings.